So there are many mosques that the Ottomans built in here. How many mosques do you think are there in Istanbul?
How many?
How many? 100,000?
30.
Yeah.
5,000?
3,270.
Not gonna go with 30 anymore.
Only in Istanbul. And all around Turkey, over 85,000. During the
He was a
Ottoman
bit
time,
off.
they built
Yeah, a
a
little
lot of
bit.
mosques, even on the same streets, because they didn't have like electricity, microphones, loudspeakers. So the muezzins used to go up to the minarets, to the balconies. When I say minaret, I mean the towers. They used to go up there and call to prayer, and this is how people heard them, and they went to the mosque to pray. But today, they use loudspeakers, so they don't need to build new mosques. But Mr. E is ordering to construct more and more mosques to get the support of the radical groups in the country, Islamic groups in the country. So even the last 2 years, he ordered to build a couple of mosques at different locations of the city. There is one, for example, on the Asian side with 6 minarets. There is one at Taksim Square, if you've been there. These are all like new mosques. There is one in Beşiktaş. So almost over 85,000 mosques we have got in Turkey. But according to UN, 85 million people are living in the country. 80% of them are Muslim on the paper, but maybe only like 15-20% of the people are practicing the religion. The rest, they don't practice, or maybe they only go for Friday prayer. That's it. Yeah. So guys, let's go to the Hagia Sofia, and I will tell you about the history of Hagia Sofia. Later on we will go inside. When we go inside, it's a long corridor. There are shoe stands on the right hand side. Everybody tries to use the first 2 or 3 shoe stands. I like to walk until the end, that we can find more spaces to put our shoes. Okay? So after I tell you about the history, follow me. We walk until the end. It's better to find more spaces to put our shoes there. Okay? So with the Hagia Sophia, guys, we are visiting the Church of Holy Wisdom. Hagia Sophia was not dedicated to a specific saint or person. It was called as Holy Wisdom Church. And the first Hagia Sophia was built as a wooden church in 360 AD. And the wooden church lasted only 45 years and destroyed in a fire in 405. Later, 10 years later, they opened the second Hagia Sophia, which was a stone church. So the second Hagia Sophia was built within 10 years time, and they opened it by the year 415, and that one lasted until 532. In 532, local people made demonstrations against the Emperor Justinian because he exiled the famous patriarch of the city from Constantinople. So as a result, people made demonstrations and they destroyed the second Hagia Sophia. And later in 5 years' time, they built this Hagia Sophia between 532 and 537. From 537 until 1453, Hagia Sophia was used as a church. In 1453, when the Turks invaded here, they converted this into a mosque, and then they added this fountain here, they added those minarets there, and they added those domes in here. In 1923, Republic of Turkey was established, and Atatürk, the founder of Turkey, who tried to modernize and westernize the country, he ordered to convert Hagia Sophia into a museum to show respect to both Christians and the Muslims, which was a really good decision. Until last year. Last year in August, just a political reason, there is not sensible reason behind that. It was converted into a mosque by Mr. E, and today a lot of local people, especially in weekends, they will come to pray in here because they take pride in praying in Hagia Sophia. Otherwise, right across that blue mosque, every corner we have mosque, so we didn't need any other mosque actually. But the reason for that is just very simple. It's political decision to provoke also Greece or other nationalities. Anyway, with the Hagia Sophia, when we go inside, you are going to see both Islamic elements and the Christian elements together. The mosaics that you will see inside today are from 10th and 11th century, whereas Hagia Sophia itself is from 6th century. The reason for that much difference is during the Byzantine time, during the Christian time, there was a iconoclast period between 726 and 843. During this time, all the mosaics and the icons that were made by the Byzantines were all destroyed by themselves to prevent the people from believing in the pictures and the idols. But after this period was over, they started to make new mosaics in Hagia Sophia. That's why we will get to see those mosaics from 10th, 11th century, whereas main structure itself is from 6th century. What happened to mosaics when the Ottomans came in here? Thankfully they didn't destroy them, but they covered them with the whitewash. And then later they made their own patterns. So inside, sometimes you will look at the ceilings and you will see some white colors. These white colors are the whitewash that the Ottomans made during the mosque time. But after Atatürk ordered to convert this into a mosque, they worked on those ceilings and the mosaics almost for 30-35 years. Without destroying them, they start to uncover the whitewash. And today you will see perfectly maintained or preserved mosaics from 10th, 11th century. But also you are going to see some ceilings that went from the Ottomans. And after 1960-65, more people start to come and visit Hagia Sophia as a museum. And the fountain here that added also during the Ottoman time is used by the Muslims to wash their hands and feet. That I will let you know later on how they do that. Perfect.
The statue of the emperor on top of this?
It was.
It
on
used
top
to
of
be.
it. It
Okay.
used to be, but not anymore.
Okay. So now it's just the column.
Just the column itself. Yeah. Anyway, with this column, they believe that under this column they keep the pieces of cross that Jesus was crucified on. The mother Helena, the mother of Constantine, believed to have visited Jerusalem, and she found the pieces of cross that Christ was crucified on and brought them to Constantinople. Because of this faith, many centuries people came to visit Constantinople as well to see those cross pieces. But later, when the excavations were done, they couldn't find anything in here. Like in Topkapı Palace. When you go to Topkapı Palace, there are also like holy relics, Islamic relics. Islamic relics. Those are the like they believe that beard of Prophet Muhammad, footprint of Muhammad, I believe to be kept at the palace. It's just faith. Like we don't know if they are real or not. Secondly, guys, behind you, you can take a picture of this hammam. It's a famous Turkish bath from the Ottoman period, 16th century. Whichever you go, doesn't matter. Go and experience Turkish bath once while you are in Istanbul or while you are in Turkey. Normally, with the Turkish baths, people think that baths were invented by the Turks, but it's not. Before the Turks, Romans, Greeks, they already had their own baths. But specifically with the Turks, before they invaded here, they used to practice a nomadic life in Asia. And wherever they settled down, of course, since they were living in the tents covered with the carpets, they didn't have showers. They always had public showers for everybody to use. And when they settled down, they kept using the same traditions, practicing the same traditions, and they started Turkish baths that they learned how to do from the Romans. And until 30-40 years ago, local people in Turkey, they used to go to hammams every 2 days, every 3 days for washing, for cleaning. But today, since everybody has got their own showers, they just go to hammams for like social reasons, or still they might go because they cannot make scrubbing on their own. So for scrubbing especially, Turkish baths, the local people would go. If any of them, like 99% of the Turkish baths or hammams in Turkey has got separate sections for men and for women, and there will be men and women working in different sections to do the scrubbing and the foam massage. And you can go to any of them, as I said. If you choose this one, 8888, 4 times 8, you can take a note. discount code. When you pay the fee, you can use this discount code and get discount and get face mask complimentary. And you don't need to bring anything with you. You don't need to make booking. But personally, I always recommend people to bring extra underwears because you are not allowed to be naked there. And after the whole process is over, you can change your underwears with the dry ones. That's why I always tell people bring extra underwears. Otherwise, you can even go right now. They provide towels, flip-flops, lockers that you can put your stuff, anything until 10:30. Okay? It's nicer when you have 2-3 beers and then go to hammam. Okay? So guys, we are in a mosque, which is the first mosque built in a Baroque style during the Ottoman time, from 18th century, 1748 to 1755, was built within 7 years. And with the mosques built before this one, they always had a very plain apse or with the blue tiles. Whereas this one has got different design on the paintings, on the apse, and this is giving us the first sample of the Baroque style mosque built in Istanbul during the Ottoman time. There is another mosque similar to this by the Bosphorus near the bridge on the European side in a neighborhood called Ortaköy. That one also you can visit. That is also in a Baroque style mosque, but this is the very first sample of the Baroque style mosques in Ottoman time in Istanbul. And with the mosques, as I told you earlier in Hagia Sofia, we get to see those carpets. Carpets are mandatory at homes and in the mosques, and everybody has to take the shoes off when they come in to pray because they want to practice their prayer in a clean area. And every single mosque, like in the houses, they will have carpets. And here they put the lines. Those lines are for the Muslims to stand while they are praying. And the next person will pray here. So when they kneel down while praying, they would have that much space for themselves, and they wouldn't, like they would touch their forehead on the ground, but they wouldn't hit. In some countries, like I know from Egypt and Morocco, they hit their foreheads. So if you are in Egypt, not for everybody, but in some sects in Egypt, you will see guys having a bruise in here, but they are like that every time. So every time, I mean like many times, that I will tell you how they are doing it. First of all, before the Muslims they come to the mosques, they have to wash their hands and feet. That's called wudu. And every mosque they will have those taps and fountains outside. I am wrong in order, I know, I don't practice religion, but I show you what they are doing. Basically, is they wash their hands 3 times, they wash their mouth 3 times, they clean their nostrils 3 times, they wash their face 3 times, they wash their arms 3 times until the elbows, they slide their hair, they clean their ears, they slide their neck, and they wash their feet until the ankles 3 times. If they are practicing 5 times a day, they have to do this thing 5 times a day. More or less, a regular Muslim would spend between 2 hours and 2.5 hours in the mosques, or during the day. It doesn't have to be in a mosque, but 2 hours to 2.5 hours for praying in total every day if they practice. But I told you, 15 or 20% of the people maybe would be practicing the religion fully. They wouldn't miss out a day in Ramadan, or they wouldn't miss any prayer in a daytime. And generally, the mosques in Turkey are empty, except for Fridays. Friday prayers, the mosques are packed, but except for the Friday prayers, it's empty. Generally, the women, in the past, it's not a rule, there is no discrimination, but we are in Turkey, populated by Islam, so a lot of Turkish women in the past, they didn't work, they stayed at home, look after the kids, and when they prayed at home. But today, number of the women studying university and number of the women working is at the highest. Like in the class that I studied, there were, for example, 47 students, 27 were female, 24 male students, like this. And you don't get to see a lot of women working around Grand Bazaar or in tourist areas, but women are working in more qualified jobs, like teachers, doctors, banks. So in such places you would see more women praying. That's why when you come back to Grand Bazaar, you will see less women. And because of that reason, in this mosque, for example, generally it's more men that pray rather than the women. And the section arranged for the women here is the smallest that you can see, because not many women around here, except for the tourists that would come from Islamic countries. So they do this washing and the praying, and this is one of the 5 pillars of the Islam religion. The first pillar of the Islam religion is Shahada. That means like witness. They say that I witness that there is no God but Allah, and Prophet Muhammad is his servant and the messenger. Anybody Muslim or anyone converting into Islam religion, they would believe in this. And the secondly is praying. For praying, they have to memorize verses from Quran. There are verses like 124 verses in Quran, and some of them are used or are memorized by the Muslims while they are praying. But specifically with Turkey, nobody knows the meanings of the verses. They just memorize because they are all in Arabic. And but they know which verse should be recited during the which prayer. So what they do, they come to mosque, they stand on the lines again, and looking at this direction to cavity to mihrab, they start like this, touching on the ears, saying that Allah is the greatest. Then they hold their hands like this. They recite verses from Quran. They bend, they stand, and they kneel down. They kneel down. When they kneel down 4 times, it's 1 rakat. So now you will see what I mean with the Egyptians hitting their forehead. The morning prayer has got 2 parts, 2 rakats. That means they pray 8 times. They kneel down 8 times. With the night prayer, it's 17 rakats, 17 parts. That means they kneel down 68 times. So 68 times you hit your forehead on the ground in the night time before you sleep. Nice. It's like that. So in total, 2 hours or 2.5 hours every day they will spend praying. But in Turkey, I told you 15% because, first of all, we don't keep records. Nobody calls me like, Salih, you haven't been to the mosque to pray since 20 years. So nobody is following each other. And if I keep smoking, if I eat, or if I work, if I run my chores, if there's call to prayer, I keep doing what I'm doing at that moment. Nobody can tell me that stop and go to mosque. The reason for that is the Turkey is not ruled by Sharia. So it's not an Islamic country. That's the difference. I will come to that point. But generally, this is the reason. When I say Islamic countries, those countries must be ruled by the Sharia rules. But here in Turkey, although Mr. E is acting like a sultan, still in the constitution, Turkey is a secular-based country. Maybe we are one of the worst countries that practice the democracy in that worst level, but still we are not ruled by Sharia. So nobody can tell you what to wear, nobody can tell you that you didn't come to mosque, and nobody can know that you are practicing or not. It's only when we are born, they write, okay, this person is Muslim. Unless your family goes and says that we don't want to put religion there. This is how we get to know numbers of the Muslims in the country, that's it. The third pillar of the religion is Ramadan. During the Ramadan time, for 30 days, they don't eat, they don't drink, they don't smoke, if they are practicing religion again. And the regular practices, they wouldn't miss a day during the Ramadan time as well. And what happens for 30 days, more or less from dawn until sunset, they don't eat, they don't drink, they don't smoke. And those religious days, Ramadan, comes 10 days earlier, every year. The reason for that is, it's the difference between the religious calendar, Islamic calendar, and the Gregorian calendar. Islamic calendar is 356 days and a couple of hours based on the moon, and the Gregorian calendar 365. So there's 10 days difference between covered by this way. So let's say I just make up, I don't know, 1st of September if Ramadan starts this year, next year 21st of August, 2 years later 11th of August. And somebody asked me about the praying. You asked me about the praying. The prayers, they are based on the sun. So each day prayer times are different. So more or less at the moment, around 7:30, they do pray the first prayer of the day. But you might sometimes, depends on where you are staying here, another call to prayer around 6 o'clock. It's for the people who couldn't do Ramadan because of that, maybe they were sick or for some other reasons. They can do the Ramadan, practice Ramadan in the days of the year, in the other days of the year. But generally, the first prayer comes around 7:30 until last one, like around 7:30 is what at the moment, let's say. But those prayer days, prayer times are based on the sun. So at the moment, morning prayers comes 1 minute later, night prayers come 1 minute earlier every day. Because of that, days are getting shorter until 21st of December. After that, it will be again different, 1 minute later and 1 minute earlier for the morning prayer. And this changes, so it's not the same in every day. And this is like a third Ramadan. Ramadan takes 30 days. After Ramadan is over, there's a festival, Eid, Ramadan festival that lasts 3 days. And the morning of the first day, only it's men that come to mosque to pray for Ramadan prayer, and then they count 70 days until they practice the second Eid or sacrifice festival. Sacrifice, how do you call it?
Al-Adha.
But that's also the thing. We do always use the Turkish names in here. So the second one, 70 days after, it's called sacrifice festival, based on the myth of Abraham and Isaac or Abraham and Ismail, according to really Islam. So they sacrifice animals in that ceremony, and again the first day, morning of the first day, men come to mosque to pray, and 10 days before the sacrifice festival starts, they go to pilgrimage if they can afford, which is the fourth pillar of the Islam religion. With the pilgrimage, they say that it is required from each Muslims that they should go to pilgrimage once in a lifetime, but it's not mandatory. It is only for those who can afford it. You cannot get a loan from a bank. You cannot borrow money from a friend. You cannot go to pilgrimage with the money that you make on gamble or from interest. It needs to be your own halal, accepted money that you make, and you can go to pilgrimage after you make sure that your friends, your neighbors, your family members are all well looked after. If you see someone in need, couldn't find food, or in debt or anything, then first you need to help them, then you can go to a pilgrimage. And you wouldn't tell anybody that you have got money to go to pilgrimage. You can also easily hide your money. But it's about between yourself and Allah. You can cheat everybody, but you cannot cheat Allah. That's the condition for the Muslims to go to pilgrimage. Same as with the last pillar of the Islam religion, giving alms, zakat. The fifth, giving alms. Also, they need to make the same conditions. Then they can help people who need that once in a year, every year, if they can afford it. So these are basically the 5 pillars. Besides this, I hope you enjoyed the tour. If you want to join afternoon tour or Tuesday or Thursday, if you have got still time, we just standing here with the yellow umbrella, me or my friends. Thanks for coming.
Question, Ali. Group planning kepada okay?
Thanks so much. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much.
very much.
Thank you.